got to see the new Pip-boy 3000 Mark V being made by the wand company. And I actually got to hold it and feel it and put it on. But something else we got to do is we got to compare it to the screen use prop. And not just any Pip-boy from the show, but the actual Lucy prop. Now, I'll say this. One of the big things that stood out to me was actually its size. When I did the review of the wand companies and I had that picture that I used on the screen, I did it based on the assumption of size being our previous 3000s. This is the 3000 special edition. This is the 3000 that was by Spirit Halloween. And of course, here's the 2000 by the wand company. And when I put that picture on the screen to symbolize the size that I thought it was, I did it based on one of these. And the fact is, it's actually way smaller than this. So for example, if you have the special edition, this Pip-boy is only, the entire thing is only about this big, the size of the screen on the old one. Now, something else to know is that up until this point, the wand company hadn't actually had the opportunity to see this in person. So, you know, they had the model files, they had some reference, but this was the first time that we actually got to have the actual prop in our hands and look at it. And it was pretty amazing that Chris was able to exactly replicate this one-to-one, knocked it out of the park. But I think most people don't realize how little space there is inside this to do all the things that the wand company is doing. So we were kind of curious about this screen use prop. First off, it looks awesome. I mean, it looks like a real metal in every single way when you look at it. It has a certain patina. I noticed that in whatever light I was in, it seemed to have a different look to it. So they really did a good job on the paint app. And in order to be able to best match that, it took a lot of reference pictures. I even 3D scanned it. One thing that we noticed right away is that these do not open in the way that the Pip-boy that they're going to be selling does. They only open so far, which is kind of dangerous if you don't want to break it. So unlike this Pip-boy, where it opens up all the way and you can put your arm inside, the way that their Pip-boy worked is it opens only far enough for you to essentially slide your hand inside. When we went to test it, Norm's hand and arm was actually able to fit inside of it. Mine cannot. Now the Pip-boy they're making is also based on one of the men's arms, so it's a larger cuff. And the cuff is really the thing that changes between the different size Pip-boys. This one, because it's Lucy's, was really small. Also, when it closes, it's held together by magnets, not just by the clasp. So that also makes it a little bit easier to put it on by yourself because it'll snap closed and then you can close that latch. Now, if you saw the other video, you know there is no holotape area. The top doesn't open, the front doesn't open, which is actually the way it was planned, was that the front face, the entire thing would open up and it would stick down behind the screen. For that, they actually had to make a separate one that opened and closed. Also, this does not have a flashlight in it the way that it did inside the show. That was just movie making magic as well. This is the version that you could see the screen turned on, the one where you could see at different points in time that there was actually something lit up. And the way that that works is that the front pulls off, and on the inside is a really old iPhone, like a mini. This thing is teeny tiny in its width. It was also super tightly stuck in there. So there was no way to really get it out, like we couldn't pull out the phone itself. Some people suspected that it had induction charging, but as we looked at it, the cuff and the rest of the Pip-boy is so tight around it, like there would be no place to stick anything for doing that. There's no way to access the back or the bottom, anywhere close where you could be able to charge it. So we weren't able to see how the phone itself actually worked. However, I can guess that there was a couple spots on the phone that would be completely white in order to be able to light up radio dial and Geiger counter. Because when you look at the face, there's no lights inside there. And you can clearly see where they left spots so that lighting could come through it. Also, I think they figured out pretty quickly that it would be difficult on screen to show anything from the Geiger counter without really zooming in on it. So for that reason, they have an actual function on the screen itself that has the Geiger counter as well. So in case you were wondering, that's probably also why there's an interface for it. I was also curious if when I unplugged it, we'd see one of those keys for being able to open up the vault door, and instead it's just a magnet. So for that reason, this wouldn't even work on the stand that Chris has made that works great for the version that they're turning out. In a lot of ways, what you're going to be getting from the wand company is going to be more realistic than the actual screen used prop. But I still really appreciated this thing. I mean, for it being resin printed, it looks and feels like a real metal. It's very light though. It's also extremely light and is a true work of art. I mean, just the front plate by itself, I was admiring how much it looks like an antique. So very cool. Was so happy to have the opportunity to be able to look at it up close. If you haven't already ordered your Pip-boy 3000 Mark V, be sure to do so. Now you have plenty of places to do it. You can do it through the Gear Store, IGN, GameStop, and can also keep watching as we continue to have new revelations about this product. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment below. This has been your Geek Fix.